Hey y'all, it's Ilana and welcome back to my channel. So this video is probably gonna get me in a little bit of trouble with some of the people that I'm gonna talk about. All gonna remain anonymous, of course, but I have talked a lot about how I've gotten my heart broken on this channel, how men have just done me wrong, how I've talked about frustrations in my dating life, and just how I've just been overall done dirty and how I've been hurt. This video, I wanted to kind of do the opposite because I would be lying if I said that I've been an angel 100% through all the times that I've dated or have had to deal with men who have had feelings with me, and I've never hurt anybody. Yeah, no, I've definitely hurt guys, and it's about time that I share that on my channel. So if you're ready to learn more about all the guys that I've had to hurt in my life, we're about to get into it right now. So there are 6 guys that I want to just quickly talk about. 3 of them are guys that I've dated in San Francisco, and the stories are not going to be too long. And then the other 3 guys, 2 out of the 3 I have dated, and I then friend zoned them, and then 1 had very strong feelings for me, and I definitely hurt this person, and I never ever pursued them romantically. All of these situations, a lot of them, I didn't handle very well, and it's something that I've learned from. And I hope it's something that you can take away from as well on how to not handle things when you have to reject people and let them know you're not interested. And so the purpose of this video is on what not to do. Let's talk about the SF guys that I've dated. Back in 2017, so 3 years ago, I went on a date with a guy that I matched with on Hinge. So when I met him in person, he didn't look anything like his pictures. But I was just like, you know what, Ilana, you're already here. Just make the most out of this date. The date actually wasn't even all that bad. He held conversations pretty well, but I just simply didn't feel that romantic spark, and I didn't find him physically attractive at all. We had a good time, don't get me wrong, but I stupidly agreed to a second date when I shouldn't have. So please don't ever agree to a second date if you're never ever feeling it on the first one. So I agreed to a second date. We got brunch, and again, like, the brunch was fine. Like, it wasn't a bad date, but there was just absolutely no spark there. And I was feeling really gross about myself for leading this guy on. He had suggested about going back to his place afterwards, and I told him I couldn't, even though I probably could have, but I knew what he was trying to do, and I didn't want what he wanted, so I made up a lie. We ended the date. So he texted me the next day asking if he wanted to do a third date, and that is where I finally was honest with him and told him that I just didn't feel a romantic connection, but I was more than happy to just be friends with him. He basically said something along the lines of, all right, well, we're different anyway. Best of luck to you. So he just tried to act completely casual about it. It's fine, but I feel like I probably had hurt him a little bit. I mean, I feel really icky for leading him on. I just really regret not being honest and upfront with him. That is something that I will seriously vow to never do again. Or so I thought. And I'm about to get into that in the next 2 guys. Let's move on to the second guy that I had to hurt here in San Francisco. This was 2 years ago. I went on a coffee date with a guy after work. It was just not a good first date. There was no connection with this guy. He was just really weird. He talked a lot about how he likes to drink with his bros. It just kind of felt like I was on a date with a frat boy, and I was just not even interested, and the conversation just didn't feel right at all to me. But I remember as we were waiting for the train to come, he was telling me how one girl had turned him down. I can't remember how this conversation happened, and how the girl said, yeah, I didn't feel it emotionally, sexually, physically, mentally, romantically. How this girl just wrote like a laundry list of why she didn't feel it with him. And I was just cringing because that's exactly how I felt, and I didn't want to say anything to him, so I just kept my mouth shut. He had reached out to me a couple times afterwards, and I had told him I couldn't because I was sick. You can see in this text message thread right here of what happened. He tried again and wanted to know about meeting up with me after Thanksgiving, and I said, you know, I had fun with you, but I just didn't romantically feel a connection, and it just wouldn't be fair to go on another date with you. He just read the text and it didn't reply back, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. When someone rejects me, because I've had guys message me saying, hey, I didn't feel a spark with you, I messaged them back, letting them know that I acknowledged the rejection, letting them know like it's no big deal, thank you for letting me know type thing. But he didn't say anything, so just the fact that he reacted really poorly to that, it speaks volume. And I definitely know that I did the right thing, but I'm sure he was hurt because he didn't message me back at all. Anyway, let's go on to this last guy really quick. Okay, and then with this last guy, I went on a date with him. It was a coffee date. And this was actually summer of last year, and it was just awkward. There were a lot of silent pauses, and I just felt like I was kind of on a job interview with him. Really nice guy, really, really nice, but there was just no connection, and I just left the day feeling like, ugh, I'm probably never gonna hear from him again. I kind of don't want to hear from him again. I'm just gonna let this one fizzle out. And a week passed, and well, he texted me asking if he wanted to go on a hike, and I stupidly said yes. I don't know why I said yes. I guess part of me just kind of wanted to give it another chance. I just still did not feel a romantic connection with him. So the next day, I sent him a message saying, hey, I've had a lot of fun with you, but I just see you more as a friend, and I understand if this is something you don't want, but let me know. And that was that. And then he replied back saying, I'm happy to stay friends. Thank you for the text message. That was when I officially learned my lesson. Do not give a guy a second chance if you didn't feel it on the first date. Just don't do it. I did it the first time with this guy that happened in 2018. I just don't know why I didn't do it a year later. But now I've learned my lesson, and I will not give guys a second chance when I just didn't feel a spark during the first date. Now let's get to the things that you really want to know about. Let's go to the first guy that I did date, and I definitely hurt in the process. So this happened during my sophomore year of college. And guys, let me tell you something. I had absolutely zero business dating during this time because I was fresh out of a relationship, a long-term relationship. I spent a lot of my time grieving over that breakup, just dealing with it, and I shouldn't have been dating anybody. So it wasn't until February or March of 2012 I started dating a guy that I had started off being just friends with. And I found out that he liked me more. And I thought to myself, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. That was like one of the dumbest things I could have possibly done. Just because a guy likes you doesn't mean that you need to pursue that. Because I didn't really know how I felt. I mean, I had a really good friendship with him, but I thought, what if we were something more? God, I was so stupid when I was 20 years old. I was really stupid, guys. Oh my gosh. I thought I felt the same and decided to give it a go. Him and I had a talk, and I kissed him, and I remember how happy he was, and he was thinking, yes, I finally got out of the friend zone, and we tried to date. Well, things got really rocky when we did a spring break trip together, and we discovered that we were not sexually compatible at all. People were just kind of cringing at a relationship. People were calling him whipped, and that didn't really make me feel very good because I didn't want to come across as like controlling, but apparently that's how I came across with him. I just was starting to come to realize that I don't think this is what I wanted. So we sat by the pool, we were crying together, just talking about how we just kind of need to break this off. But I still had to share a bed with him for the rest of the couple of days that we were there. It was a pretty uncomfortable experience, need to say the least. After that happened, I realized, I was still kind of feeling him, even though we had broken up, and then we sort of made up. He had asked me to his formal, and I was really excited by it. I remember I wanted to do this beautiful makeup look because I wanted to look like I was fresh off the Hollywood red carpet. I had this stunning black dress that I was gonna wear, and I wanted to do a silver smoky eye, and I showed a couple of my friends it, and my friends showed that makeup look to him, and he was like, this is too much makeup. And we got into a whole argument about that, and I still wore that makeup look to his formal because I'm not gonna let a man's opinion of my face stop me, because I knew it would make me incredibly unhappy if I didn't get to wear that makeup look to that formal. It was not about him. It was about me, and he thought that I was wearing the makeup for him. No. Anyway, that really hurt me. I think it also pissed him off when I didn't take his opinion into account, but there's no reason for me to, and honestly, I'm not sorry about that. It really annoyed me because he treated me like absolute trash during his formal. He paid little attention to me. He barely danced with me. I was starting to realize, you know what, this is just simply not going to work. And so we talked the next day, and I said, you and I are just better off being friends. You are just someone that I just am not really interested in dating, and he agreed to that. So let me just talk about like why this hurt him. So a big part of this had to do with the fact that I was grieving over my ex. The fact that I still had pictures of me and my ex in my room when we were dating, and I had rebounded with one of his fraternity brothers 2 months after I had broken up with my ex. And I still had some feelings for that guy too. That's a whole nother mess in itself, and I do mention that in my worst heartbreak video. You can go and watch that right here. The fact that I was hung up on 2 guys that felt more of a emotional priority over him, that stung so badly to him. I had zero self-awareness for all of it. And I remember one night he drunk tweeted. I remember him saying something along the lines of, "You are such a liar. I feel so manipulated." Something like that. And then the next tweet said, "But I still love you." And I knew that was not about his ex-girlfriend. I knew that was about me. And when I saw these tweets, I started crying because I felt so upset with how badly I hurt him. Drunken words are sober thoughts, y'all. I just felt really bad for how I played with his feelings like that and how I wasn't honest with him. Those tweets really did upset me because I felt his hurt and I felt really guilty. I really did lead him on for the longest time. He kept trying to chase me even after we had broken up but still remained friends. We went to Busch Gardens together, and I think to him, he just kind of felt like this was a date because he had a free ticket and he wanted to take me, and I entertained it, and I really wish I hadn't. And I love Busch Gardens. If you don't know what Busch Gardens is, it's just an amusement park, and I love amusement parks. So that's why I did it, and I thought it'd be a great way to just spend some time with my friend, but it meant something a little bit more to him. When I was in grad school, he came to visit me for a long weekend. I think he had high expectations for that weekend and nothing happened. He slept on my couch, I slept in my bedroom. I told him I had a paper I had to write that weekend, just FYI, I can't pay that much attention to you. I could be wrong here, but I had a good feeling he went to visit me that weekend to try to win me back in some way. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's kind of how it felt. And I think he kind of left a little bit disappointed knowing that nothing more happened. It took a really long time for him to move on from me. Now he's engaged. He's supposed to get married in the fall, and I say supposed to just because of what's going on in the world right now. I'm really happy for him. I'm glad that he was able to move past this because I knew he had strong feelings for me for years. I just never ever pursued anything more after my sophomore year with him. And I just truly stood my ground and put my foot down saying, we just need to be friends. I'm so happy that he's found somebody that he absolutely loves. That's all I want from him. So let's go on to the second guy that I kind of dated and then really hurt. Okay, so this is another guy that I met in college. This happened during my junior year. I was in a better headspace to date. So my sorority had a mixer with this fraternity, and I spent most of that mixer talking to a guy that whole night. And we decided to leave together, and we went back to my place. Now let me tell you something, y'all. You're probably not gonna believe what I'm about to tell you next, but I swear to God, I'm telling the truth. He spent the night with me, and nothing happened. We didn't even kiss. Y'all, I know. How do you just spend the night with a guy and you don't even kiss him or sleep with him? Literally, it was just a cuddle fest. All we did was cuddle. It was really, really awkward. I don't know why I brought him back. I was not even really that interested in him. I don't know why I even thought it would be okay to bring back a guy to my apartment late at night. And I wasn't even interested. Oh gosh. I even cringe at it. Yeah. And just to make it even better, he left his briefs at my place by accident. I remember he texted me saying, I left my briefs at your place. Can I go get them? And I said, yep, come get them. The day that he comes back to my place to come get his underwear, so I walk him to the elevator because I forgot to mention I was an RA, so it was really a residence hall, not an apartment. And a lot of my residents were outside in the hall sitting and talking, and they saw this whole thing go down. So embarrassing. So he's just like, so yeah, I'm really into you. I was wondering if you wanted to get dinner with me during this time. And I said, yeah, that's fine. And he goes, okay, great. And so he shamelessly walks into the elevator with his underwear. And that's that. And my residents just look at me, and I had a whole floor of like male residents. He was just like, what the was that? And I'm just like, I don't know, but I really don't want to talk about what just happened. I also didn't want to be that open about my dating life with my residents. Like, there needed to be some boundaries put into place here. So yeah, so we got dinner on the date that we agreed to, and I just flat out friend zoned him on the date at the restaurant. Oof. I just told him I just wanted to stay friends, and he looked pretty bummed, but he seemed to be okay with it. I felt so awful, guys. I really led this poor guy on. I think a huge reason as to why I did this is because part of me was just so desperate to go on dates because I was still feeling really weird about being single in college. Like, college was a really weird time for me to date. Anytime I would date a guy, yeah, like college was just a really awful time for me to be single. That's basically what happened with this guy, and I definitely heard him. He's moved on completely. Funny enough, he actually lives here in the Bay Area. We're totally fine. He has a girlfriend. I think it's safe to say that he was able to move on just fine. So let's go into this last guy, okay? So this one, I'm kind of nervous to talk about. I don't really know if he watches my videos, but I know he still follows me on social media. This one might get me in trouble with him, but I just need to kind of get over this. And, you know, I'm not going to say anything badly about him. I don't think anything badly about this person, but I'm really uncomfortable to talk about it. Just because I used to be really, really close with this person, and I just feel like my friendship with him has completely evaporated after everything that happened between us. So let's get into it. Tim and I met in high school. We went to 2 different high schools, and we met through a mutual friend. We stayed in touch. We would always have Skype calls with each other when we were in college. We would always try and meet up when we were both home back in Richmond. We would get Chick-fil-A a lot together. We would do a lot of fun things together. It was always a good time. I really enjoyed his company. He was a great friend to have. We had the same birthday. We had a lot of things in common, and it was just a really good friendship. This is kind of where things started to get a little bit rocky, and it happened as I had graduated from grad school. So there was this one time in grad school, we were Snapchatting each other, and we were using the texting feature, and I thought we were kind of talking about pizza puns. We kept sending each other like those little pictures of pizzas, like those bitmojis. I said something along the lines of, you're a pizza in my heart. But I wasn't actually like telling him that he was a pizza in my heart. Like, I wasn't hitting on him. I thought that's just kind of what we were talking about. We were just kind of messing around. Well, after I said, you're a pizza in my heart, he went something along the lines of, yes, oh my God, see, you and I were destined to be together. You and I are gonna have sassy children, and they're gonna be of medium height because he's like really tall, like 6'4", and I'm 5'1". I did not reply back to that because holy cow, did that make me uncomfortable. Like, what the was that? You and I are destined to be together and we're gonna have sassy kids? Where is this coming from? What the That's when I immediately felt closed off. I didn't say anything to him after that. I just had no idea what to say back to that. But oh my God, I was so uncomfortable. I want to share a couple of text messages that him and I had to where things started to make me really uncomfortable. I have them on my computer, just give me a second. So after I had graduated grad school, he had sent me a text in July. I was still in Kentucky. I wasn't moving back to Richmond until August after my lease was up. So he had texted me saying, come back to Virginia. And I said, 2 weeks, chill out. And he said, for how long? I have no idea. I have an interview in California either the first or second week in August. I'm waiting on the other date. And then he says, gotta make sure to visit my new place. And I said, haha, def. Then he sent me a gift, and the gift didn't appear in the screenshot. And I said, I can't even with you. ha ha ha, and he said, yet you love me. And I didn't reply back because no, I don't love you. That just made me really uncomfortable. And then a couple of days later, he texts me again saying, so how long are you back? He starts to get really clingy. And I said, not sure, it's a long story, sometime in August maybe. Again, it depends on this job interview I have. And he goes, how does it feel to be home? And I said, I'm not home until next weekend. And he says, well, you got an open invitation whenever you're over here. And I said, yeah, I'll let you know once I'm all settled inside. Have you been to the Quirk Hotel? Because I was trying to like redirect the conversation, like stop focusing on this. Can we just like be friends please here? And he goes, no, but I hear it's amazing. And I said, well, let's go. And he goes, yeah, let's. And he goes, I'm taking it upon myself to make sure you enjoy RVA. And I said, good luck with that one. I'm really pissed off I gotta be there for a little bit. And he goes, hush dear, there's lots of love if you think positively enough. Every day's a new chapter, nobody knows what tomorrow brings. Why are you calling me dear? Why? Just why? I mean, yeah, my friends are there, but Richmond's not for me. I don't want to be in the South anymore. And then he says, well, Richmond City is what I want to explore with you. Don't base the entire city off the West. And I said, no, it's not that. I mean, the city has good nightlife, but that's like it. Kentucky's really damaged me. Kentucky wasn't part of that. But he had a really hard time accepting the fact that I just simply don't like Richmond, Virginia, and that I don't like my hometown, where he does like it. He kept trying to push this narrative that I need to love Richmond just as much as he does. And that was really starting to push me away and make me really uncomfortable. And then he says, well, Kentucky sucks then. And I said, it really does. Don't ever bother trying to set foot there. And he says, I have no intentions of doing such. Okay. And then I just talked about this whole interview thing again. And then he says, well, for selfish reasons, I want you here close to me. And I'm just thinking, like, what the hell is going on here? Why is he being so clingy? And I said, yeah, I figured that one out years ago. And this is just kind of where it occurred to me. I think Tim has feelings for me. And he says, how many years ago? And I say, let's say since I moved to Kentucky. This is where this conversation gets really awkward, right? And he goes, think longer. And I'm like, oh my God, longer? And he goes, I mean, you didn't do this when I was at ODU, so. And he goes, well, I think the feelings have always been there on my part for a while now. I just never really realized it until college. And I basically told him I'm flattered, but I only just see you as a friend. And we can have this conversation when I'm back. I don't want to have this conversation over text message. I really did want to sit down with him and have a talk and give him a chance to say what he had to say. And he said, I mean, you're definitely right about that. I have a lot more to say for sure that I need to say in person. I never gave him that chance to have that conversation. And I'm going to show you the next couple of conversations as to why I just figured it wasn't worth it. I didn't want to lead him on. But part of this, I didn't really handle very well. I was getting very closed off. I think this closed offness really hurt him. But I needed to stand my ground and say, I do not want a romantic relationship with you. Kind of felt crummy to tell him, I just want to be friends with you. We've been friends for all these years. I don't want to ruin it. And this is kind of where I was starting to feel like my friendship with him was just kind of falling through the cracks. Let's just talk about the next couple of texts where it just gets bad and where I say a lot of hurtful things. So I'm finally back in Richmond and he says, hope you're home safe. And I ignored it. And he says, chin up, sunshine. RVA isn't so terrible. And I said, lol. Don't call me Sunshine. And what he's referring to is I kept just making a bunch of sad tweets on Twitter about how unhappy I was to be back in Richmond, how I didn't want to be here. I wanted to be just anywhere else but Richmond. And he says, I'm going to keep calling you Sunshine. And I said, I just asked you not to. Like, do you have any respect for me? And he goes, oh my God, I was just joking. Do you legitimately hate that nickname? And like, this is what really frustrates me is guys will have this tendency to say, oh, I'm just kidding, when a woman tells them off for doing something or saying something that makes them really uncomfortable or if they're offended by something. They always result to just kidding. And it's not okay. And that's when I said, see, I don't think you were, and it's not that I don't hate that nickname, but I don't need you to call me that. Just because you like RVA doesn't mean I have to. I know what you're trying to do, and honestly, I don't appreciate it. And he's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, you've just made me feel extremely uncomfortable the past few months by the things that you said to me. And he goes, come on, man, that's not even where I'm going with this. I'm just checking in on you. You're tweeting depressing stuff. And I said, well, I am depressed. Why are you depressed? I'm unemployed. I'm living with my parents in a place that makes me uncomfortable. I'm heartbroken and everything else. And he said, you're unemployed, living with your parents in a place that makes you uncomfortable and heartbroken for now. I I know right now this seems like he's the bad guy. I promise you he's not. I have a point. I'm almost done. Then he says, I don't want to be the solution to any problems you might be having, but I'd like to be the light of positivity. That's just who I am. And I said, it wasn't that particular text per se. It was other things in my discomfort just kept building up on top of it. I'm generally an optimistic person, but I don't like being here right now. I feel embarrassed. And he says, you don't have to feel embarrassed. At least you feel something. It's when you stop feeling anything that I drop everything and get involved. And then I said, thanks for your cliche advice. You can't accept that you'll forever feel like you're always getting rejected. I don't mean to sound cliche. And I said, I'm just used to it at this point. And then he just kind of goes on and on and on about trying to help me. And that's when I was just like, stop, you're not helping me. And he goes, well, this annoys me when you say this without knowing what I've been through in 2 years. I'm not gonna tell you my sob story or why you say it, and because like why you say hits me so close to home. Just don't stop giving up on happiness. And I said, you don't need to compare your sob story to mine. My past 2 years have sucked too. Comparison's not gonna do any good in this situation. He says, depression's a heavy word, okay? Don't throw it out lightly. This made me so mad because he was trying to say like, oh, you know depression? Well, I know depression better. You don't know what depression is because like of what I've been through. That made me really mad. But long story short, the reason why I hurt this person is just how I handled all of this. As you can see, I sent him a ton of bitchy responses and I didn't let him help me in any kind of way. I just snapped and I treated him like crap in his whole entire situation, and I'm not proud of. But at the same time, I really was uncomfortable with how he made me feel. I think with me, I kind of get really closed off and I don't really know what to do when a guy who I've been platonic friends with opens up to me and shares their feelings to me and I don't feel that way. It's happened before. It happened with the first guy that I just mentioned and it's happening with him too. Sometimes I don't really know what still goes on inside Tim's head. Part of me thinks that he hasn't completely moved on from me. He'll still check in with me from time to time. I am a lot nicer to him. At the same time, I just don't know if I can really be friends with him ever again. Just after all the things that he said to me and just how he had made me feel in certain situations. I feel like that's really hurt him with the fact that I kind of ruined our friendship. I don't think he ruined our friendship. I ruined it by just being a hot mess. I was a bitch to him. And I did apologize to him. And he accepted the apology, but part of me just doesn't know if I should make up this friendship with him because I don't ever want to feel like I'm leading him on. I don't really know how he still feels about me, but sometimes I still kind of get the impression that he's still into me. I want to see him move on from me. And until he's completely over me, then maybe I can reconsider picking things back up with him. Because I really did love my friendship with this person. I don't know, I just feel like I really damaged it. That's just my harsh truth with that. What can you learn from this is figure out how to handle friend zoning people who come to you with their feelings. Don't handle it the way that I did. I feel like I didn't handle this situation very well. And it's something I've learned from. This happened, 4 years ago? And I hope one day maybe I can rekindle this friendship. But for now, that's basically how I hurt him. Even if he doesn't think that I hurt him, I still think that everything that I did in this scenario was completely hurtful. And that's just my truth. When's a time that you've had to hurt somebody or where you've had to break hearts? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel because about once a month I talk about my dating life on this channel, but mostly San Francisco content. So if you like all of that, make sure you subscribe and I will see you in my next video. Bye.